Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Brains and Beauty. I'm a PhD student studying brains and also a beauty lover, and on my channel I like to focus on creative, conscious consumerism. So part of that is finding ways to be inspired to use the products we already own and really just have fun with our makeup collections regardless of how small or big they are. So I started the themed minimalistic Shop My Stash series as one of the ways that I can achieve that goal. My makeup collection is more on the smaller side of things compared to others that I see online, and so I thought that I couldn't really do a Shop My Stash series because if I rotate every single month a couple of products, I would end up just going through my entire collection pretty quickly. So instead, I did like a themed minimalistic Shop My Stash where each month there's a specific theme that will allow me to be inspired to play with those products. And it's minimalistic because I only select one product from each of the color cosmetic categories that fit the theme, and then I play with it for an entire month, and then I update you guys with like speed reviews on the products in that month and in general how that month went. Now we're halfway through the year, so I do want to give an update on just my experience this year doing a Shop My Stash for the first time, and specifically this like themed minimalistic version of it. But I'm going to leave that reflection till the end of the video because I do have products I want to update you on. So in the month of June, I had the princess theme, and I am so excited because I have so much to tell you about these products. So I'm going to go ahead and first talk about what was in the basket for the princess theme, and then we'll do the reflection and any changes moving forward to the Shop My Stash series. But I'll leave timestamps if you want to jump around and you're more interested in one particular topic than the other. So let's just get right into it. Okay, first I have to tell you guys about my experience with this blush. So I decided to focus on this like pastel pink blush for the Princess month because in general I feel like pastels are very soft colors, and that's why I also had the Creepy Cute pastel palette rolled in this month. But I always knew that I loved pastel eyeshadows. The thing is, I never really got into or tried pastel blushes, and this blush is like a total game changer. So let me just tell you, I used this 20 times this month, and that is crazy usage for me. And last year I only used this palette 5 times, and at the time I didn't have any record of like separating by color how much I used each shade, but I know for sure that I didn't use this one like at all last year. Usually when I would open this palette, I kind of bounce between this normal like pink shade and then this like deeper plum shade, and that's just the kind of blushes that I always gravitate towards. I don't know why, but those colors I'm always like, that's my blush color. But I found out this month that no, this is my blush color. The first moment that really showed this to me is, so I did a whole face of makeup, I used this as blush and everything, and then at the end of the day I was going to the washroom and I looked in the mirror and I was very confused. Like, I looked in the mirror and I was like, why am I blushing? Because I was just so tired at that point of the day. I was like, I'm really tired. It's time to take off my makeup. And I was just looking at myself and I was very confused. I'm like, why do I look like I'm excited or I'm like just flushing, like truly naturally flushing? And I was like, I'm not. Like, I'm very tired. But it took me like a minute or two and then I was like, oh my gosh, it's this blush. This blush is literally the tone of my skin when it flushes. Like, this is the exact color when I'm excited, and like to the point where even though I knew that I applied makeup that day, this fooled me into thinking that this was really my cheeks blushing. So yeah, this is just so beautiful. Like, this shade is perfect for making it look like I'm flushing, and I just love that look. Like, I think that really beautiful natural pink shade, like, I didn't realize that I wasn't achieving that, but now I know that this was the shade that I needed to achieve that. Now, the interesting thing is you might think, okay, so that means it should be a perfect blush for like no makeup days, right? So I tried it like that, but I didn't like it like that because it's so natural that if I don't have any other makeup on, or like barely any other makeup on, and I just put this on my cheeks, it looks like when like my cheeks are irritated. Like, it looks like I'm flushing, but now I'm flushing but I don't have that like super perfected skin, and so I'm flushing but I'm looking kind of irritated maybe. So I actually didn't like this on no makeup days because it's so realistic that if I'm not excited and it looks like my skin is pink, then it kind of looks like my skin is irritated. But if I have like an actual concealer on, you know, my dark circles are covered, and I can do like light makeup kind of looks, like natural makeup looks, not no makeup, but natural, then this does look really pretty. And it also does look really pretty with glam looks because it just makes my cheeks look like they're naturally flushing. So that was really interesting to kind of experiment with that. I'm wondering if this kind of has the same effect that that kind of like fluorescent purple pastel shade of blush that I feel like has been really popular and, you know, going viral online. I wonder if this gives me like that kind of effect but on my skin, or if they're similar or not. But I don't own any kind of blush like that, but that was just like an interesting tone to play with this month. And I clearly played with it a lot, like 20 times is so much for me. For one of those times, I did mix it in a bit with the orange, and two of the times I did mix it in with a brown just because like I had used it so many times that I really felt like I knew this blush very well, and I just started wanting to kind of play around. But yeah, I used this like more than twice the amount of any other blush I've used this year, so that was just such a fun discovery for me. Another product that I used like so much more than I can even believe I used. So I used this lipstick in the shade Mehr from MAC 28 times. Like, oh my goodness, I've completely, like, I wish I kind of recorded it before I put it in this month because I want to see how much I actually was able to pan from this. But I used this so much, you guys. I reapplied this on certain days. I never do that with lipsticks. I applied this opaque. I never do that with lipsticks. Like for me, how I apply lip colors is I just apply a very sheer layer. I kind of blur the edges with my fingers, and then, you know, it's so sheer that throughout the day it will wear off, and it will wear off naturally because, you know, there was barely there like anything to begin with, and then it wears off naturally, and then I don't need to reapply. And I don't tend to want to reapply, like I don't mind. But this color is so beautiful that I just had to apply it opaque and then really wanted to reapply it if any of it faded. I just wanted this color to really show through. It's just my favorite mid-tone rose color. It's like the perfect rosy tone, and the thing about it is the depth is like, it's not a deep shade, but it's so rich. It's so rich that it gives that effect on the lips of them just being like deeply flushed. I think that's another thing for why I use this so much. Similar to the blush, it just gave this effect that like this is really how my lips are when they flush, when I'm excited or anything like that. Now, like I knew, unlike the blush where I really barely had ever used that before, I knew this was my favorite like lipstick, but I still am surprised how much I used it, and like the fact that I was using opaque, because I think previously I would still use it like I use all my other lipsticks, like very sheer, but I think like I've just, because I've been playing so much with other lipsticks, and I like knew I really liked this one, so I haven't been testing it out or anything. I used it 7 times last year, and because I was like focusing on other lipsticks, like I knew that I liked this, but I think having it back in after playing with so many other lipstick shades really reminded me that this is so pretty and just fits my skin tone so well, like better than any other shade I own. Really, I could see this being my only nude lipstick and I'd be happy. So yeah, I wore this 28 times. There was once when I wore it mixed with the purple lipstick that I have, and I created like this purpley pink lip. And then another time I wore this and then I kind of wiped it off and then I put the purple lipstick on top, and so it was a little bit mixed, but mostly it was a purple lipstick. And that was just because like at that point I just used it so much already, similar to the blush where I was like, okay, I feel comfortable now dipping into some other things as well. And then there was only once when I did a makeup look without wearing this, and instead I used a really bright orange, like neon-y lipstick called Crash from Urban Decay, and that's because that just really went with that look, and again, I was comfortable with the fact that I'd used this so much. So yeah, I love this lipstick. This has like reignited my love for it. This is probably like the one lipstick that I could actually see myself fully using up and panning out of anything in my collection, and that just makes me happy. So yeah, it was an amazing experience using it this month. All right, now on to the Becca Rose Quartz Highlighter. So I used this 13 times, and this was one of those products that I really hadn't used properly before. Like, I used it 0 times in 2021, and so I really got to know the color this month. It's a very pretty pink highlighter. It's not icy, which is really nice. It's like a soft rosy highlighter, so it just went really nicely on the cheeks and with all the other like pink tones that I was playing with. It wasn't too deep, so it didn't give me like a dark cast, but it still had enough color to it that it did like provide a really nice like blush topper effect. And you know, the Becca formula is just really nice. So on me, it's like not too metallic, but it is quite reflective, and it's also kind of smoothing on the skin. So it's not like an inner glow. It's definitely like a shine, like you can see it, it's a metallic shine, but it doesn't emphasize texture on me, which was really nice. And just to note, this was also one of the most times I've applied highlighter, like by a couple more uses than the other months, but I don't think that's because like this is my favorite highlighter. It's not like what I was saying with the lipstick. I just think I was just using those products, the blush and the lipstick, so often, and it made me want to do my makeup so often that, you know, I would just throw this on because it really went well with everything. And so I was just using this a lot because the other products this month really made me want to wear makeup, including my eyeshadows too. Like these colors, I even said it when I was rolling them in, these are my colors. So I did my eyeshadow a lot this month. And so yeah, I just ended up using this a lot because I was doing my makeup a lot. So let's talk about eyeshadows. For the shade Glass Slipper from NYX. So as I expected, this was really nice on the inner corner, especially when I was playing with the more cool tone shades. And I did use it on the lower lash line once as kind of like a spotlight. And I've been doing this a couple times lately and I really like it. I've been using kind of highlighty shades or sparkly shades as just a spotlight in the center of my lower lash line. And so I did do a like rosewood kind of look using the Huda Nude palette, and I put this as a spotlight on the lower lash line, and that was really pretty. So yeah, I used this 4 times in this month. I used it 0 times last year, so definitely got some use out of it. Again, nothing like so special and mind-blowing, but it was just nice to get some use out of it. Since I mentioned that look with the Huda Nude palette, let's talk a little bit about this. So I used this palette 16 times, which is really, really good for me. And it's almost double the amount of times I used in 2021, which was 9 times. But those times in 2021, I just reached for this palette for like these 3 shades, like this one, and this one. So when I rolled this in, I really wanted to make sure that I'm getting more use out of this, especially like this area, because I feel like whenever I would reach for this, it would mostly be like this lighter area. So this month, my most used shade was actually Love Bite, which kind of makes sense because I really needed something to deepen up the outer corner. And this is like the more deeper shade from the palette. And the Creepy Cute is a fully pastel palette, so obviously this didn't have any deep shades. And my supplementary palette, quad that I kept at my desk, didn't really have any deep shades either. But I do have to say, a critique of this palette is even this deep shade it didn't really satisfy the depth that I wanted. It did in most looks, but there were some looks where I felt like I really needed something deeper. I feel like most of these shadows have a similar level of depth, especially with the shimmers. They're all like mid-tone shimmers, even though these ones might look like they would be lighter, they're not. Everything is kind of very mid-tone, and then maybe just like these, even maybe just these two are like the lighter shades in the palette. But Bare was really nice. Like I used this 4 times and it did help me really lighten the inner corner. And then Tease and Tickle I used 3 times each, and the rest I just made sure to use at least once. Now, like I said, I really would ignore this part in previous years, so I decided to challenge myself and do a look with like my least used shades, which would be these 3. And I'll pop the look up on the screen. It made a beautiful like rosewood kind of look. I used this in the inner crease, this in the outer crease to deepen up a bit, and then this one all over the lid. And this was a look where I used the like minty glass slipper on the lower lash line. So yeah, it was overall a very pretty kind of rosewood brown look, and I really loved this shade. Like this marbled shade, when you put it on your eyes, it ends up looking kind of like a rosy bronze with a sparkle that was very like reddish pink. So it was a very pretty effect. It wasn't necessarily duochrome, but it gave that effect of like there being a different tone between the base and the shimmer, and it ended up giving that overall effect that you had that like rosewood color going on. And in that look, I also had this on the outer lid to help deepen up the look as well. So yeah, I really reached for new shades that I didn't often reach for. The only things that I didn't play with was the 2 glitter shades and also the concealed shade. I kind of knew going into the month that I wasn't really planning to play with those. I have so many eyeshadows right now rolled in that I absolutely adore, and I didn't want to force myself to use these 3 when I wasn't really interested in it. I thought I could do a glitter liner at some point, but I just never really got around to it. One thing that I really noticed is that even though I've played with lace a lot, and it's one of the shadows that really made me purchase the palette because it's this beautiful purple mauvey tone, this month really taught me that like the color story really matters. I've often thought in my head of like lace as this neutral looking purple, even a little bit cool toned, and playing with it this month compared to Planchette, which is the pastel purple in this palette, really showed me the difference and made it really clear that like this has some serious warmth to it as a purple. So you can see a look where I use both of these kind of side by side. So I did the Rapunzel look that I said I really wanted to do using glaze. So I had glaze all over the lid. It's like this lilac, gold, pink multichrome. So I had that all over the lid. I had Twilight in the inner corner, and then I had Third Eye, and then I did lace, and then on the outer corner I did Planchette. So you can see these side by side, and it just shows how much warmer of a purple this is when you look at this. But like without this, and compared to all the warm pinks, it looks like it's a more neutral or cool purple. It's just so interesting to think about how colors paired together can change our perception of their undertones. But yeah, I love the Rapunzel look that I did. I did use the Moxie Lash black eyeliner and some lashes. And then under the eyes, I did actually end up reaching for Void, the black eyeshadow that was originally in the Creepy Q palette. As I kind of expected, whenever there's like these bright tones, I do often want to kind of darken the lash line. So I did reach for Void. Another purple look that I really wanted to do was leaning more cool tone. So what I did is I used Daydreamer on the inner crease and then Planchette on the outer crease, and then on the lid what I did is I took Ceres, which is this beautiful like pastel periwinkle with like this peachy orange golden shift. It's just so pretty. And then on the inner corner I put Glow, which is the blue to purple iridescent multichrome, and then I kind of dragged it over the inner lid on top of Ceres. It was just so stunning. On the lips for that look, I paired it first with Mehr as like the pink lip, but then I was like, you know what? I kind of want to take it more into like an Ice Princess territory. So I wiped that off and I put on top the purple lipstick, but they kind of mixed together a little bit on my lips. But overall, that was a beautiful Ice Princess look. And then another look I want to share with you is, so my parents got a lot of different flowers for our backyard, and one of them, my mom was telling me, is called Earrings of the King's Daughter, because like the flowers have these long green stems and so they kind of dangle like earrings. Anyway, so I felt like it fit the princess theme and I did a look like inspired by it. And so what I did is I had Love Bite on the outer corner and I had Tickle in the kind of middle of the crease. And then on the inner part of the crease, I reached into my NYX Brights palette and I pulled out the Hot Pink because I felt like I needed that really bright tone to like match the brightness of the pink in the flower. And that's another thing, like this palette is very rosy and nude. It doesn't have brights, it doesn't have super deeps. So it's one of those very like natural rosy type of palettes. So I did have to reach into that NYX palette to get the look. I also put all over the lid the multichrome from Clionadh, the iridescent one called Aura, because it had this like very vibrant fluorescent almost pinky purple shift that goes to like a green and a gold. And yeah, so I put that all over the lid. I just felt like it went with the flower as well. And then the last main look that I wanted to share with you is more focusing on the Creepy Cube palette. There was a prompt on Instagram and it just made me really want to make like a citrusy lemon, lime, orange kind of look. So I used Twilight take a hint and then third eye in the crease, and then I also pulled those down onto the lid, and then all over the lid I applied Luxe from Cleona. It's like this gorgeous iridescent multichrome that's a lime and gold and even has some purple and blue in it. So I put that all over the lid, and then if you remember the cake liners that I made in my video where I mixed from the cake liner primary palette all the different shades like that I could possibly want. I'll leave the video linked up above if you haven't seen it. But yeah, so in that video I made a pastel yellow and a pastel orange, and I made a lime, and so I used that on top of these shadows on the lid to kind of make like a slice of a citrus fruit, and that was just really cute. And so that was a look where it was the only time where I didn't wear the Mehr lipstick that month because I really wanted like a juicy orange pop of color on my lips, and so that's when I used Crash from Urban Decay, and I topped it with the Danessa Myricks Layer shade to give it that kind of glossy look. So yeah, those were the main looks that I did this month, but I played a lot with these eyeshadows, and I also played a lot more with this quad than just those looks. Whenever I wore like a blue or green outfit, I would always reach for the blue cold shoulder or Creep It Real, and I would put them in my crease, and then I'd use this gray shade to kind of deepen the outer crease and just smoke some things out. It was just so reliable this month. Anytime I felt like a look was a little too warm or it didn't go with my outfit, I just grabbed some of this, I smoke out the outer crease, and it just made me feel like I was a makeup artist. Like, I don't know what it is about this gray shade, but it's so elegant and it's so user-friendly. It just blends out so nicely that it just completes every look and makes it look like I'm like a professional, and I can just, I don't know, it just makes it look so like perfect, smoky, but light enough that it's not too dramatic. I don't know, there's something about it. It just completed all my looks. So yeah, I'm really happy I had that shade in. And when I had like more warm tone or pink outfits, I would use all the shades in the Huda palette, but sometimes I'd even still want to kind of add a little bit of a cool touch to it. So I did a look where I put this in the outer crease while I had some of the warm colors from here, and it gave kind of like this purpley cool toned edge to the look. It just looked so pretty. So yeah, even though like Creepy Cute wasn't the main focus palette, I used that one 16 times, but I used this one still 13 times, and my most used shade was Planchette, the purple. I just love purples, and it just went so well with any of the pinks. And then in terms of Tombstone, like I used this 9 times, so I really used it quite a bit. I also actually used Void, the black shade that I was talking about, 9 times as well. I just wanted to keep track as well, just, you know, to know how many times I used that. I used Glow 5 times, which is, again, expected. I love Glow so much. It's perfect for the inner corner or all over the lid. And then my second most used shade after Planchette in this palette was actually the pink shade. So I used Strawberry Milk 4 times, and then all the rest of them, I used them 3 times each, which is honestly quite a bit instead of just like 1 use each for the others. I just really enjoyed playing with these pastels. So yeah, honestly, I still stand by what I said when I first rolled these in. These are my colors. Like, it makes sense why I did my makeup so often this month, because I just love every single shadow here, and I definitely am going to be rolling in more pastels in future months now that I have this palette, and I know I'm going to be depending on this gray a lot as well. But that basically wraps up my princess theme. Now let's just chat a little bit about my experiences so far with the Shop My Stash this year, because we're halfway through the year, and what I plan to do moving forward. Oh, also, I totally forgot to say this, but look at the cute pastel eyeshadow nail set I just did. It's so pretty. I'm definitely going to get a lot of use out of this nail set when I roll in these shadows again in my like birthday month, because I know I want to do that. But yeah, I have a nail for each of the pastel shades. And also, I actually filmed myself making these. So I'm currently filming the B-roll footage so that I can hopefully soon post a video on like actually going through how I make eyeshadow nails. But yeah, this was a different technique. I was trying something new as well with this nail set that I hadn't tried before with the nail set when I just did like Daydreamer as a full nail set. So yeah, I will tell you more about that in that video, but exciting stuff being filmed in the background right now. But back to the Shop My Stash. I want to say that I think the picture frame palettes have been really like the icing on top of the cake for this whole series, because this month when I just had like this quad and a magnetic palette, it didn't like affect my usages or anything. I actually use these shadows quite a bit, like I said, but like I was actually sad. like like I have totally spoiled myself, you guys. I was like there was nothing for me to just have up on display and look at these beautiful shadows. So like I really value the picture frame palettes, and I want to make sure I continue to do them moving forward. I think like they're just so much fun to me, and packaging helps inspire me to actually use products. And you know, when I set out these themes, I'm actually able to have a little bit of packaging that matches a theme when I have a picture frame palette. Another thing is like when I started this series, like I would watch off my stashes from other people, and I was worried that like my minimalistic version of it would be boring to either like you guys or to me because there was just so few products to talk about each month. And that's kind of what prevented me from doing shop my stashes, because with like a smaller collection, I was wondering if it just wouldn't be as fun as having like a full basket with a lot of stuff to play with. But honestly, I can't imagine adding more products than this to my shop my stash, because I already don't feel like I use what's rolled in enough. Like it was really eye-opening. I remember thinking when I first started that I could use every shade in a palette like 5 times and maybe even hit pan on one of the shades that's my favorite. But that's kind of laughable now, because like my favorites are the ones that I can use like 5 to 9 times. And that's not enough to hit pan, which is okay. Like this isn't a branding project, but I think that's why I kept enjoying it, because even though I had high expectations when I first started, I quickly adjusted them because they weren't the goal. The goal was to like use everything, really get to know it, and have fun with the theme. And so far I've been able to do all those things, so this project has been a big success in that way. But I definitely expected, like, since I have these projects for a month, that I would be maybe bored of them, but really it took a month to actually really get to know a product for me. And I think it's also encouraged me to practice playing with like different themes with the products and using them in different ways. On the note of techniques, actually, I feel like I've learned so much with this Shop My Stash series. Like, I am so much more comfortable with deeper shades this year than ever, since I was kind of forced in the beginning to really use them as the main matte shadows when I rolled in the Silent Night palette from Glaminatrix for the Queen's theme. And you know, that purple gray lipstick from MAC, like I never thought that that would be like a staple that I would think about or often reach for. It was kind of just like a shade that I would maybe try on once a year just for fun, but not really like want to reach for it. And now it's something that I just want to reach for after I had that gothic themed month. And like some old products that I really, really loved, like the Mehr lipstick, where I put them aside because I wanted to, you know, play with some other stuff. I feel like now, in comparison to everything else, I can really see how much shinier my favorites really are, and just like how special they are compared to everything else. And it just makes me love them even more. Like even the ABH highlighter, where I'm like, I know this is a beautiful product. I get the most compliments when I wear that highlighter, but at the same time, you just kind of don't even realize it until you really compare it to everything else, just how much better it is. So yeah, I've fallen even more in love with my favorites. And yeah, so overall, this has been just a wonderful experience to have this. I haven't been putting too much pressure on myself, just making sure that I use every single product at least once. I do feel like I was at first saying things like, I can only use this product this month and I will never use it again for any of the other months, because I really wanted to make sure that each month I focused on a specific product and that I didn't like push it off to use it another month or roll it in again. But I have dropped that thing. Like I am focusing on the products that are rolled in, but if I want to pair it with other things already in my collection, I can totally do that. Like I brought in the NYX Brights Hot Pink and the Aura shade and a couple of other shadows, that one lipstick, the Crash lipstick, and I'm bringing them in when I know that I've used the things in my basket quite a bit, or that they would inspire me to use those products in my basket more. So it's totally okay to bring in other products. I feel like in the beginning I was pretty set on no, just need to focus on what's in, because next month I have to roll it out and I have to bring in a new product and I really want to make sure I get to know that product, and you know, but I'm not really stressing about that anymore. So yeah, I feel like I'm at a good stage right now and I'm just going to continue with it that way. There is just one change that I do want to make to my videos. So I think my video format is a bit confusing. Like I've always watched Shop My Stashes and they're formatted so that the first half is an update and then the second half is like a Shop My Stash for the new items. And this makes sense for other people's channels because these videos aren't searchable really, so they're meant to be series that people who are already subscribed continue to keep up with. But because mine are themes, someone could search for like a princess makeup theme or a gothic makeup collection theme, and that's what these videos are titled, and then they see me shopping my stash for those items but not actually using them within the video, so it's a bit weird. So moving forward, I'm going to post my video so that the first half is me shopping the theme, and then the second half of the clip is me kind of reviewing the theme with the speed reviews of the products a month later. So I'll just, film them separately and then a month later put them together. I just think that that would be more helpful for viewers that are interested in that makeup theme. And it actually helps me because it means one month is not dependent on the other. And even though I plan to continue doing these shop my stashes as like a monthly thing till the end of the year, just because based on my calculations of the size of my collection, that will allow me to have completely focus on all the products in my collection. But in future years, I might not want to do like a monthly rotation. I might just, one week be like, I really want to focus on playing with this theme for 2 weeks. But yeah, the playlist will stay the same. I'll just keep adding to it, but that's just the change. Like, that's the only change that I'm planning to do moving forward. But yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed hearing about the products I used during the princess themed month. If you liked the video, please do give it a like. And if you'd like to see more themed minimalistic shop my stashes in the format that I described, please do subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!